How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to another Master and Apprentice or Star Wars with Daddies. Just another Thursday. Awesome week in Star Wars from news, um, shows, everything, all the above. Great week. Athen's going to be a little bit late today. He's picking up stuff for our recording for our next video. So, I didn't realize my mic wasn't next to me. Well, that's a little embarrassing. I hope you guys could hear all of that. If you couldn't, welcome back to their Star Wars with Daddies stream. Athen will be here in a couple minutes. We'll cover the Bad Batch and Mandalorian review and breakdown when he gets here. But before we do that, we'll get into some just quick Star Wars news. Earlier this week, we dropped a video. I was somehow able to put it out before anyone else really in the Star Wars community really big got onto it. But the news was Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm canned 2 Star Wars movies that we had known that were in the making. One was being Feige, the Marvel producer slash, I don't even know, pretty much Star Wars Kathleen Kennedy. Feige, what's his first name? I can't remember his first name. Oh man, now I feel dumb. Kevin Feige, that's right. Kevin Feige is Marvel's Star Wars is Kathleen Kennedy, right? But he was going to come over to make a Star Wars movie, which I don't remember exactly when this information was put out, but this was put out quite some time ago. And there was really no information on that since that time. And so I guess it's like probably the newest update on it is that it's canned. It's not happening. And then the other movie was Patty Jenkins. It wasn't like a teaser trailer, but you know what? I guess I can call it a teaser trailer. Her movie was supposed to be the most upcoming movie. It was supposed to be her movie was the next Star Wars movie to come out, which was supposed to be this year, 2023. Obviously, it didn't happen. She kind of got sidetracked with other projects, which wasn't kind of what I don't know the exact details on it, but she had to leave the project for a while to go work on other stuff, and the time management wasn't done correctly, and miscommunication led to a kind of a fallout with the whole team on that side of that movie. And now that one is also canned, which is that's out of all the movies, that seemed like that was the most furthest along. So that was a little disappointing to see that one completely gone. I don't know if Star Wars or Disney still has that trailer up, but it's a good chance they do. But we do have confirmation that Taika Waititi and Damon Lindelof's movies are still in the works. We are supposed to be getting updates on both of those for Star Wars Celebration, which is good. There's a new article on Disney divulges why Star Wars movies are taking so long to come out. Disney's Bob Iger commented on why it's been taking so long since the last Star Wars film was released. The last time fans sat in the theater to watch a new Star Wars film was at the end of 2019 with The Rise of Skywalker, an experience many fans wish they never had in the first place. However, the whole franchise was saved thanks to the success of The Mandalorian on Disney+, a streaming series that led to a handful of other projects in the same format, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Book of Boba Fett. But where did the movies go? A report back in October 2022 claimed that the prolonged development time for a new film was due to the culture of fear and indecision among the company executives. Needless to say, this wasn't the hopeful update many fans wanted to hear. Yeah, pretty much the rest of the article was just going over that. Pretty much, they have been putting movies out because they put a couple movies out. The first one or two, Rogue One, Force Awakens, they all did very good. Right? Force Awakens hit box office, record numbers. Rogue One was loved by the Star Wars community in general, and then it all started declining after that. We got record numbers for The Last Jedi, but it was not taken well by the community, right? It had a big showing, but that was it. And because it didn't do very well, the next in line, Solo, it just didn't do very well. And Star Wars didn't like that. They took it the wrong way that, okay, this isn't going well. So they didn't put a second one out because usually they did a Skywalker Saga film every other year, but in between they did a Star Wars story movie. And after that, they didn't do it because they thought it wasn't working anymore. And then they put out, the notorious Skywalker, The Last Skywalker. And it, epically failed. It didn't do too great in box office. It obviously did fine. They still made a decent amount of money off of it. But there was a lot of backlash, more than any of the other films, by a lot. And, it kind of puts, Star Wars was new to the Disney. Lucasfilm was new to Disney pretty much at this point. I think they were still in the first 10 years. I think we've been over 10 years now, but they were in their first 10 years. First 5 years, I believe, actually. Anyways, and it was already on a very bad slope. And so, that's kind of why they've been taking a break, because if they take a chance and make another movie and it's terrible and they spend a bunch of money on it, millions and billions of dollars, and it, gives you Solo numbers, it's, Lucasfilm and Disney are going to be in trouble. So that's kind of why they've been, a little nerve-wracked. I don't know what the word would be. I guess a little timid to put out a new movie. So, which isn't, I guess that's not really too new of news. I think a lot of people kind of understood this, but it's now more than ever confirmed because Bob Iger is CEO, the chairman. So, but without other news, the last, I guess, biggest piece is Mandalorian Season 3 introduced the villain of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I guess that swamp guy, the pirate, the leader of the ship, the big cruiser ship that we see Vane lead Mandalorian to in the first episode of Mandalorian, the pirate. I guess that is supposed to be the main antagonist for Skeleton Crew, which is very interesting. And the way they shot it, I don't know. It just, I thought they were going to be bringing this character back through Mandalorian. I didn't really know what to expect of that. It turns out it was important because it's going to be connected to Skeleton Crew, which is, as we've already discussed before, connected to this whole Mandoverse, right? Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian are all going to be kind of in the same time period, and characters are intertwining. A little bit of the article. Last week, we saw the triumphant return of the third season of The Mandalorian, Disney Plus phenomenon created by Jon Favreau. After more than 2-year absence from your screens, the episode was filled with buzz, worthy moments as expected, and set up threads and later in the season. But the episode also seemed to set up the Mando spin-off series Skeleton Crew. Over the past few months, various rumors pertaining to Skeleton Crew, a Mandalorian spin-off series created by Jon Watts, director, writer, I don't know which one it is, but it says Spider-Way No Way Home. So either director or writer, Jon Watts, and Christopher Ford have made their way online. We know officially that the series will follow a group of children along with Jude Law, trying to find their way back home after being lost in the galaxy. And that series itself is inspired by classic 80s Amblin movies such as The Goonies. Recent reports from the Making Star Wars net claim that the series will feature pirates, and that they could be in the catalyst for the children and the teacher becoming lost either in the part of the galaxy we've never seen before or in a completely new galaxy, with a location also rumored to feature in another Mando spin-off, Ahsoka. The first episode of Mandalorian Season 3 took us back to Navarro, where we reunited, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, pretty much it's just setting up the character. But I guess those characters, especially that pirate guy, is supposed to be a main character, or like I said, main antagonist for the Skeleton Crew, which is cool. Kind of get a glimpse of not really what to expect, but I guess you could say what to expect. A little bit of insight of what's to come. A little bit of the vibe, I guess. Which is cool. I like that. And if it's already intertwining, with Mandalorian, hopefully we can see some first glimpses of that in the Mandalorian. Not that I think we will, but it would be nice if we could. Yeah, it's really it for that, I guess. We are going to be making a video, hopefully, on the Mythosaur. We see it. I'm not going to spoil it. Yeah, I'm going to wait till Athen gets here. But we are going to be making a video on that. Just I don't know if we should do it in a top 10 format or just like an informational format, but yes, it is. Yeah, I'm going to put it on screen. But we are going to be doing a video about a Mythosaur. It's pretty big right now in the Mandalorian universe, with Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. They're going to have a lot of characters who are attached to that, Mandalorian culture. So Mythosaur is going to be pretty important. So I think video retaining to it would do good. I just don't know what format we're going to do for it, but yeah. And yes, serious matter. This is a mullet. Crazy, huh? Trying to think. Disney issues statement on mass cancellations of Star Wars hotel voyage. Also, Gina Carano, she plays Cara Dune. Possible recast. This is a little bit of older news. Can you just skip to the Mandalorian? Yes, you absolutely can. Here, let me put it on screen. This is a good question. I've never seen Star Wars. Can I just skip to Mandalorian? I would say absolutely you can skip to Mandalorian. Mandalorian, it did something that Andor couldn't do. Is it gives you a show that you don't have to watch other shows to really understand what's going on. If you watch other Star Wars, it's going to be cooler. You'll have a little bit more of an understanding of certain, Easter eggs and things like that. But it's just fine on itself. You might have to watch the Boba Fett a little bit because the Boba Fett connects to it. But yeah, no, you don't have to watch the whole Star Wars universe or anything like that. Which is, I guess, good to some people because there's a lot of movies and shows to watch. But anyways, Gina Carano's character may be recasted. This isn't really old. I mean, this isn't really new news. We've been hearing about this for a while, but obviously, big ordeal happened a little bit ago, a couple years ago now. At this point, Gina Carano was let go from just Disney in general, no longer working with them, and she was kind of a staple character in the Mandalorian series. So that begged the question, what's happening with her character? We kind of see, before we get to that, we kind of saw beforehand she was supposed to get her own spin-off series. So what happened with that series? What happens with her character in The Mandalorian? New season finally comes out, and we kind of get answers. She's gone. She's doing her own mission right now, which her mission is what the other series was supposed to be, a ranger of the New Republic. And then, the Mandalorian, Greef Karga lets Mandalorian know she's off being a ranger for the New Republic. So it's literally what that series is supposed to be. So it kind of begs the question, are we going to see that? And if we are, we see a return of Mandalorian. And if we are, is it going to, obviously they're not going to bring her back. Maybe they will. Hopefully they will. But the chance of that are slim to none. So they're going to have to recast her. That's kind of been the, rumor going around about it, but there's really nothing on it at this point. I think they're just trying to keep it on the low because they just don't want to have to worry about it. Okay, and then the last most important article: Disney issues statement on mass cancellations of Star Wars hotel voyages. Disney released a statement in the wake of Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. Walt Disney is reducing its number of operation dates. The Galactic Star Cruiser is an immersive 2-day live-your-own adventure experience aboard a simulated Star Wars pleasure cruise set between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I think this opened up this time last year, so this is still a relatively new cruise, right? Following a wave of cancellations and reports of low occupancy, Disney finally took an action and provided a response. So pretty much the reason this is, not really taken well is, first things first, is it's the time period it's set in the sequels, right? People don't care too much. Like I just went over, a couple minutes ago, the whole sequel era, a lot of controversy just surrounding it in general. So people don't like that. The second thing is it's $5,000 for a weekend, right? So $5,000 for a weekend isn't cheap by anybody's standards, right? Even people who have millions, 5,000 isn't something you just look away at. It's a decent chunk of money, and for a weekend, right? Friday to Sunday, you're there half of Friday, you're there half of Sunday, so only one full day for $5,000, and you get a room, and it's full of activities. So it's not like it's a park where you can have time to relax. It's more or less a lot of events and a brochure you're following a certain schedule, which I guess for certain people that's fine, but a lot of people, usually if you go on a cruise, you want some semblance of relaxation. This doesn't provide too much of that. So all those things in mind, this was a what's the word? This was a it was set up for catastrophe. There you go. Following Disney's decision to only offer 2 Star Cruiser voyages per week starting in October. Oh, okay. So it hasn't even been a full year. So October is like 6 months. Or no, maybe it's okay. Yeah, no, it's the 2 voyages per week is starting in October. I see. Okay. You may notice the schedule has been modified to provide 2 voyages per week, except for holiday weeks, where we may have 3 voyages, but we've been learning a lot during our first year of operation and had adjusted voyage dates to meet the needs of our guests. Disney originally intended for the Star Cruiser to operate every day of the week, which would have allowed more than 2 voyages. Right? When I said a weekend, I guess it's a week. Never mind. They must have changed it. When it originally came out, it was just a weekend. Huh. I didn't realize they changed that. Anyways, earlier this year, Disney canceled a number of low occupancy summer voyages, offering guests who booked a stay on these newly canceled dates a discount to rebook. At that time, Disney agents reportedly referred to the summer season and its canceled dates as a refurbishment period, even though summer is one of Walt Disney's busiest times of the year. Yeah, okay. It's pretty much just a lot of excuses, right? They're saying they need time to refurbish. They need time to blah, blah, blah. First of all, you need time to refurbish in the summer. No, you don't. You do that in the winter when it's, when people don't want to go for a cruise. Second is it's brand stinking new, right? You just had this come out it's been a year now, but it hasn't even been 2 years, right? Obviously, it doesn't need big refurbishment. So it's all pretty big baloney. But yeah. But with that, Afton's finally here. We can do a review and breakdown, and we can let you guys go after that. But guessing you watched both Bad Batch and Mandalorian?
This week I did.
Good.
Yep.
Which one you want to hit first?
Let's go Mando.
Okay. So Mandalorian season 3, episode 2. Review first. What would you give it out of 10?
I would give this I'd say 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. I'd probably give this a 9.5 out of 10. Breakdown. Okay. So we see last week we were kind of left with Mandalorian leaving Bo-Katan, her castle. We don't know what the planet was. I think it's mentioned, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Leaving her castle, and we don't know where he's going next. We don't know if he's going to find a memory circuit for his IG droid, or if he's going straight to Mandalore. And we kind of got an answer right away. He went to Tatooine to find a memory circuit from what's that lady's name?
Shoot. No, her and her pit droids in the Jawas. I don't recall her name.
I don't either. Whoever the crazy lady is, she doesn't, but she snags him to get a astromech droid, the one that looks very familiar to the one that we see on New Hope, that Luke is very close to buying, R4, right? And he's just going to use that. The astromech's going to scan the surface, make sure that air.
Moto's her name. Sorry.
Scan the air, make sure it's breathable, and that's exactly what happens. And our adventure starts right there. We go right to Mandalore, which is awesome. This is a very fast pace. This is something that we haven't seen with Star Wars pretty much since the last season of Mandalorian, to be honest. Like, everything's fast paced, and I like it. Right? I know we're only 2 episodes in, but both episodes have been, for the most part, fast paced. Right? Parts of Boba Fett was fast paced. Parts of Obi-Wan Kenobi were fast paced, but like the whole series wasn't. And so far, everything's been, on par, on fast pace, which is awesome to see. Anyways, pretty much they're exploring Mandalore, Din and Grogu. They run into certain beasts, have to fight them, and they're exploring. They get down to the mines, and then eventually he gets captured by this weird mechanical crab thing, who's controlled by this kind of like a la Grievous thing. It's kind of cool. And Grogu has to go get Bo-Katan, right? Pretty much the whole last episode and this episode, Din showing Grogu how to set a path to, planets, how to navigate. And right away we see it happen. She gets Bo. Bo helps Mando, and they go down to living waters. This is just the Spark Notes version, right? There's a lot of stuff, a lot of talking here in between. But this is what happens. Go down to the waters. They finally get there after talking a pretty big nostalgic run through Mandalore. Like, it brings back certain Clone Wars vibes for sure. Anyways, they get down there finally, and he's reciting his creed. I don't know exactly what he's reciting, and he's doing this whole ordeal. And then he gets sucked down to the bottom. And right away we see Bo, which after already coming to rescue him, after kind of wishing bad luck upon him, we see, she's rescued him once, and then she dives, without second guessing, rescues him again. And she grabs him, and on her way up, she sees what resembles a Minotaur, which is, thought to be extinct, this very mythological creature in the Star Wars universe. Very cool, very awesome scene, and that's where we end. It's a pretty relatively short, kind of the same time as last week, like 35 something minutes like that. It was a banger episode. It was on par with last week. If you liked last week, you'll probably like this one a little bit more because it had a little bit more of a nostalgic hit with it, which was cool. Anything but you didn't like?
I liked a lot the little part that they showed the Mandalore the Great. They showed little tiny bits of that, which means that they might dive deep into that later in the next few episodes.
Mandalore the Great.
They don't show Mandalore the Great. They speak of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, they see part of the ruins, and they see it speaks of this is where Mandalore the Great did blah blah blah. First Mandalorian Jedi. It was a really cool little part right there, and I mean, I'm really excited to see where they go with that.
Absolutely
beautiful
amazing
cliffhanger.
And then I don't know exactly where I saw it, but somewhere on my Twitter from some leaker. Next week, we are supposed to be getting a 54-minute episode. So we are supposed to be getting that cranked up, which hopefully with that, I hope they don't turn the pace down, because usually with longer episodes, they tend to turn the pace down. I hope they don't. Kind of expecting it. But nonetheless, super excited to see where they go forward from this, because now they both kind of have a mission. Right now they're like, there's some of the both characters to focus on, and it was really cool. I loved it all together. Awesome episode.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. What would you give it out of 10?
Bad Batch. This episode I'd give out of 10.
Season 2, episode 12, I believe it
12.
is.
I think 12's right. I'd honestly give this one I'd give this one an 8.
8.
8. Yeah, an 8.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.5 probably. A great episode. It's a little surprising. We kind of expected to see the Zillo Beast arc, right, with Rex and Echo, because that's kind of where we left off on, kind of almost like cliffhanger. But that's not what we picked up on. In fact, we picked up on a little bit of like 2 episodes before, kind of, with the new order set by Palpatine. Clones are out, stormtroopers are in, and they're already implementing it. And we see clones being escorted out. We see stormtrooper regiments being trained, equipment coming in. But this is, it's a Crosshair episode, so he's not. I guess he's still important because he's, special. So he's like a assassin, special ops kind of a guy. So with that, he goes on a special mission with a relatively new colonel. I don't remember his name, to be honest. Anyways, and they have to go pick up some equipment. And Crosshair's essentially like what's the word?
He has a dilemma right now.
He's the I guess guard. I don't know what the word is. I don't know. He's supposed to help protect the equipment, make sure it gets back safely to Coruscant. Anyways, to go to this ice planet. I don't even remember what the ice planet's called. And it's a clone trooper commander with 2 guys, and the station's pretty much deserted, and the equipment's terrible. And right away, the colonel's yelling at them, like, what's going on? You guys aren't defending crap, and you guys are, looked awful. And the guy's like, we put in for more troopers and more equipment months ago. You guys haven't, really done anything. And this is kind of where we start to see for real that this colonel is a real poopy head. Not very nice guy. Right? He's got no respect or anything for the clones. And he's kind of showing it. And right away we see, we learn that all the other clones in this battalion or platoon or whatever have died by raiders. And then pretty much right after that, we see the raiders come and they kill the last 2 clones. And then they steal a bunch of the equipment that, Crosshair was supposed to protect. So the colonel demands them to go get it, even though it's just like 2 or 3 crates. They go out there, Crosshair and Mayday. This Mayday guy is a really cool character. His clone armor is not too unique in the fact that it's just all white, but it's unique in the fact that his equipment sucks, so he's had to use like normal resources like wraps and wiring, and so it just looks like a very beat up clone armor, which is kind of cool. You never really see that. Clone armor is usually very pristine. So that was, that's cool. They get there, they find these guys, they ambush them, and they have this big fight, and they kill them. They're outnumbered, but they kill them by this big explosion. And this explosion causes some of these crates to fall over, and they realize these crates are literally stormtrooper equipment. And they could have been using this whole time, but no, this isn't meant for them. This is meant for people who are replacing them, and they're just out to the street. So this is obviously, gut-wrenching to both characters, that we see that, Crosshair is starting to feel a little bit like he's starting to kind of be fed up. And with that, we interrupted with a avalanche. This big explosion called this avalanche. They both barely survive. Crosshair being fine, but Mayday being badly injured, right? I don't know exactly what happens. I don't know if he gets stabbed or something, but badly injured, and they barely, Crosshair has to drag Mayday back. But he's doing it. He's trying his hardest. He likes Mayday. They've both saved each other a couple times through this episode. And he does. He finally gets him back. But he needs help. He's about to die. He's on the last grasp of air. And Colonel's like, no, what are you talking about? You guys have been useless. You let the equipment get lost. You went to go get it. You didn't even get it. Fend for yourself. And as he's saying this, Mayday dies. and this guy shows, this colonel shows no remorse, no respect, and tells Crosshair to leave his body, get up, and go do something, be useful essentially. And Crosshair gets fed up and stands up and shoots the colonel right in the chest in front of all stormtroopers, and then collapses. Right, and so he just accepts his arrest, and that's where this show ends. So it's very cool. It was very, we kind of have seen the implement of stormtroopers and the replacement of clones through books, but never really in the show. We kind of started to see glimpses of it in the Bad Batch, but this is like the first real glimpse of it, which was really cool to see. Just a different point of view, different perspective, and it was cool to finally see some sort of redemption for Crosshair, because he's a really cool character. He's probably one of the most defining characters for the Bad Batch series, definitely one of the strongest characters. So it was cool to see him have a great moment like that. I'm excited to see, maybe he reunites with the Bad Batch. Maybe that's how this series ends. It would be really cool to see that, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see where they go forward with this.
Yeah, in the past, especially the movies, the Clone Wars, the TV show, has really humanized clones, but in the movies, they really are they look like robots, and then the second Order 66 occurs, they just look like robots that just turned on to the people. And the Order 66 didn't go through on part of the Bad Batch, which is obviously known, and it went through on Crosshair, or as far as we know, went through on Crosshair, and Crosshair went with the Order. But seeing a arc for a clone who we believe at the moment had Order 66 go through on him, like that is, I love this a lot. I really do, because you see he turns on the Jedi. He becomes the most meanest, best special op there is in the entire Empire, fighting for the Empire, and you think that he's just no chance, no redemption whatsoever. He just completely murdered an entire city on episode 2, alongside Commander Cody, to capture it and just take it for the Empire for no apparent reason. And then seeing him on an arc now where he's the good guy, or where he has good intentions at least. I mean, it's really good. I really like this a lot.
Yeah, both episodes were great. A decent amount of Star Wars news. We were able to get a lot of it in videos this week. Like I said, let us know real quick. So we got a couple people in the chat, decent amount of you guys. Let us know what you guys want to see, the format for the Mythosaur video. You guys want to see a top 10 video, like top 10 facts, or just like an informational video, like here's the story of the Mythosaur. I don't know exactly what the format we should be. I don't know what the most interesting way of that would be. But definitely let us know, because that's going to be a very pertinent creature or character or whatever through the Mandalorian, and probably going forward. So definitely would like to make a video on that for you guys. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, go ahead and ask them. But there's not too much else. I already covered everything else to the brim for news this week. Yeah, crazy. Star Wars is really picking up. A lot of finally movements by PR for the shows, for everything. It's great to see Star Wars finally doing something, because it would look for a second like they were on the brink of, I wouldn't say failure, but on the brink of just they were getting themselves in some pretty deep crap. Like if Mandalorian had sucked, I'm not too shocked if they wouldn't have been considering selling in a couple of years, because that's 2 years where they would have done, spent millions of dollars on shows and they all have done poorly. Like they needed something to bang, and we're finally getting stuff to, do great. And we're getting two things, not just one. We're getting two great shows right now. Man, both Bad Batch has been, since the arc, I think it was episode 6, like the halfway point, I think. I mean, we had a little hiccup, but it wasn't bad.
The double drop in the middle was amazing.
Pretty much since there, it's been nothing but bangers. It's definitely outmatched season 1 for sure, and then obviously Mandalorian. I mean, there was a lot of eyes on that going forward. 2 year, a whole year delay, 2 year gap in between, and it's slapping. So it's going to be exciting seeing where we go forward. And then Star Wars Celebration, hopefully, some big news. There's a little bit of rumors that we could be getting Ahsoka in August now instead of fall, because the original reports from Rosario Dawson were fall. We made a couple of videos on that if you guys want to go check those out. But it looks like it could be coming out August now, which would be awesome. But hopefully we'll be getting a release date for that Star Wars Celebration. Obviously, like I already talked, Taika Waititi and Damon Lindelof's movies, updates on those. Skeleton Crew, update on that. Everything. It's starting to heat up. It's really great.
Yeah.
It's been last year was kind of a down year, even though we had expectations and possibilities to do great last year. It was a pretty down year last year for sure.
Yeah.
With that, if you guys don't got any questions, go ahead and ask them. You got anything else you really want to cover, Afton?
Nothing really.
Yeah.
Check out our last YouTube video. Talked about Legos.
We also finally got over 100. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were watching on Twitch because we stream this on Twitch and YouTube right now. But finally got over 100. We would have been over 100 a while ago, but we kept having so many people unsubscribe. But we finally got over it. We're over it now. So that's great. Thanks, guys, to that. But yeah, that's really it for this week. Don't forget every turn on live chat. It is
Elijah.
Turn on live chat.
Is it on for YouTube?
Live chat is on.
Elijah, you gotta type words in the box and press enter for it to go in.
I can see.
Twitch has gotten us multiple replies.
Yeah, I guess I can see. Unless it's. No, I can see it here. Let me type something. Let me see. I just used my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
There you go.
I know what you're talking about.
If you're on podcast, you know the drill. Hit that download, hit that follow. Podcast has been popping as always. We got over 100 episodes on podcast, which is crazy to think about. Kind of time flies. Originally, when we had started the YouTube channel, we called ourselves Master and Apprentice Podcast, and we didn't even have a podcast until like 3 months in, which is absolutely nuts. But we got a podcast started, and now we're well over 100 episodes. We're doing pretty great on that. We're in top 150 in Canada, so help us get top 150 in America, please.
Country that counts.
Yes, sir. But yeah, if you guys don't got any questions, which I'll give you another second, but that's really it for this week. Don't forget, every Thursday 7:30 we're streaming. We are doing the things. This is the second to last week before Afton leaves for basic. So definitely leave some love for him. Next week's gonna be this last week for a little bit. So we're probably gonna have like a naked MMA fight or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what we'll do. We'll do something fun for stream. We have plenty of space back here. I'll turn the camera and we'll fight. I don't know if Tish will take that down or not. We'll test it. We'll see.
We'll just advertise it as a WWE gaming on stream.
We'll just say we're playing EA.
Yeah.
And then we'll put a second video of one of us with a picture with a remote. But yeah, we'll do something fun next week for that. I think that's really it for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, don't forget to follow, download for podcast, subscribe and like for YouTube, and then comment what you guys would like to see for the Mythosaur video, because probably that will be coming out sometime next week, Tuesday or Friday. But it will be coming out very, very shortly. With that, we hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you in next week's stream. Peace.